What's up guys, Ryan here from Mud Gunner, and I am joined with my buddy Mason. This is going to be the second video in this little series where we talk about medical. The first video was about tourniquets and how to apply them. This video is going to be talking about medical kits as a whole. It's not everything you'll ever need in a video, but we're going to try to make it quick for you guys. But main thing is I recommend taking a course. Again, Mason works with Independence Training here in Arizona, and they teach medical. So I'll pass it off to you.
Sweet. All right. I'm Mason from Independence Training, again. So yeah, jumping right into kits, guys. There's a lot of different ways you can carry kits. There's like tactical stuff, which I'm pointing at that I'm not supposed to do.
Yeah, because we got to lift it up.
There's tactical stuff.
So
for all
chest rig,
the dynamic body slaying operators and stuff, which is awesome.
Belt rig.
There's also like individual kits that you can carry on your person as a regular kind of just guy going around every day. There's vehicle kits, like something like this, a hard case kit that we sell. There's also obviously like little pouches and stuff you can put them in. There's an unlimited amount of possibilities for IFAKs, right? What you want to keep in mind are the basic things that you put in your IFAK, and there are some basic things that should be any IFAK. And I like to mention too, a lot of people will put like Band-Aids and other things in their IFAKs with them too. Those are not IFAK items. Those would be, we call them boo-boo kits. A lot of people in the industry call them boo-boo kits. You generally want to keep those, if you're going to keep them in the IFAK, they need to be in their own little self-contained kits and in a separate section of it. Oh yeah.
Right here. Little boo-boo kit.
Right? So it's a separate thing, right? Because the last thing you want to do is be like, man, I'm bleeding out, I need to get a tourniquet, open your kit and have a ton of Band-Aids fall everywhere, right? Because they're not going to help you. So just kind of keep them separate if you can. So jumping right into the IFAK then, this will be a good thing to get us a baseline. Hard cases are good, especially for vehicle kits, because it will protect your IFAK from the elements, all the materials on the inside from the elements. None of the things in here would really, you'll see a lot of expiration dates on med supplies. I don't want to ruin a big secret for the medical industry, but most of the stuff doesn't expire, just so you know, right? So like a lot of like bandages, it's a bandage. As long as the seal isn't broken on the bandage, it doesn't really expire.
Pretty sure my ibuprofen expired like 5 years ago because it's a bottle of like 500
Still
pills. So.
And even with like hard meds and stuff like that, I'm not a paramedic, I don't like to speak on this too much, but even with hard meds like ibuprofen and stuff, it would never get to the point where it is dangerous for you to take it if it's past expiration date. It will just lose effectiveness as it gets older. So yeah, don't worry about like, oh man, my ibuprofen's 5 years old. It's still probably good. It just might not work.
Or it's a placebo at this point.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You just, oh man, I'm great now. I feel better. I eat ibuprofen like candy. So with the IFAKs like this, let's pop it open. I'll show you the basic contents for an IFAK. You can build your own. You can buy them complete. You know, however you want to do it. But these are just some kind of considerations for you. Ours, this feels kind of shilly, but ours we always put these March stickers in. The nice thing about those, if you guys watched any of the other videos we've done with medical stuff, March is the algorithm we use to treat people. It's not an Independence Training thing. It's a across the whole world of medical thing. It just goes over the priority of care and what's going to kill the person next, right? So we have the stickers made just kind of remind people. We have this very well-drawn, friendly little diagram inside that one of the instructors drew on a whiteboard once, so we made it a sticker. So first thing you're going to see, tourniquet, right? This is a demo kit that we have, so the tourniquet is still in plastic, but understand in your personal kits at home, take the tourniquets out of the plastic. It doesn't really do anything for you. It's just one more thing you'd have to take off if you're going to use the tourniquet, right? Then, of course, this is a big part of it. These are just really generic trauma shears. Trauma shears are important because, unfortunately, when people are bleeding out, we have a term we use, everyone uses in the medical world, called trauma naked. It's a general rule. If someone's going through a massive trauma like a huge bleed or a sucking chest wound, which is one of those leading causes of preventable death, you need to see and expose that wound. And so that's going to mean cutting clothing off. Regardless of gender or whatever's going on, you need to expose the wound so you can see it, right? So trauma naked is the term we use for that. And you know, unfortunately, modesty, there's not really a big place for modesty in the world of medical interventions. So trauma shears are used to cut garments. You would just cut the hem of the garment generally, and then you can rip usually most shirts and stuff like that. Thicker jackets like Carhartt and stuff, you can cut them with these kind of shears and things like that. Plus, with purpose-built tools, instead of me like trying to use a pocket knife to cut
and
around
accidentally
the shirt and
stabbing
him with it, right? We don't want to make it worse.
You can't stab someone with those.
So with shears, like they're not sharp. So yeah, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So you can't like cut somebody, right?
And you could travel with them on planes.
But yes, you can take these on planes with you. Ryan's flown internationally with.
Yeah, I went to Greece. I took an IFAK with me to Greece. It's great. Just threw it in my bag and nobody asked any questions.
The worst I've ever had is someone be like, "What is it?" And I'm like, "It's a tourniquet," and they're like, "Okay," and then they let you through because they have no idea what it is. So trauma shears are important. You should put them in every kit. Next, this is kind of, I'm going to save this actually. It's kind of controversial. So another big one, gauze. Now this is just rolled crinkle gauze or acrylics gauze. This is a particular kind of gauze, medical gauze, right? Because it's woven in a certain way that it actually absorbs blood and kind of helps with that stuff. So But this is really cheap, guys. It's like 50 cents to $1 for a roll of gauze like this. You can also get compressed gauze, which is the same thing. They just shrink wrap it basically, so it's in a smaller package and it's easier.
I have that right here too.
Oh, perfect, awesome. Yep.
And bright red, so you can
and that's
tear
North
it.
American Rescue ones.
Yep, North American
So there
Rescue.
you go.
They do a lot
That's
of
good.
medical stuff.
Now, even with a lot of this other stuff too, like gauze and things like that, they're sealed for sterility. If I am in what we would call like a field medicine or tactical medical situation, I don't actually care that much about sterility. That is a problem for the hospital because a standard kind of procedure once you get there is you're going to get pumped full of antibiotics anyway. So if I am out in the woods and stuff like that and my bandage gets dirty and I'm like, oh, sorry, man, you got to bleed out because my bandage has dirt on it. We don't really care that much about that in the field. In a hospital setting, it's different. But understand that just because something's not sterile doesn't mean you shouldn't use it.
It's more sterile than bleeding out.
Yeah, it's either that or die in a lot of these situations, right? So just hands up.
At least seeing it from a packing point of view, like this is great for that kit, but like carrying this in my chest rig, it's a lot smaller, and you could put like 3 of these in place of 1 of these. So
yeah, and it's actually about the same size gauze.
yeah, because it'll expand a lot.
Next up, then, kind of in the same vein, we have bandages. Israeli bandages are a common term for them. That's just kind of like they were the first ones to do it, but there's a lot of different names for them. It's just people call them Israeli bandages, right? They're literally just like rolls of, man, what's that stuff people used to wrap, like sprained ankles? I can't remember that.
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Bandages.
Compression
bandages.
Yeah.
There we go. It's mostly just compression bandages, but they usually put some kind of gauze pad on it that helps absorb blood. And then some of them, depending on the brand you get, will also have something kind of similar to a windlass or like a tension bar, they'd call it, that helps you apply direct pressure using the bandage, which is really nice to have. That wouldn't so much be for a traumatic bleed because that we're going to either put a tourniquet on or we're going to wound pack, which is another video that we're going to do. But any kind of big laceration or something that would be covered under C for circulation and march, you could use that pressure to put direct pressure on the wound, and that'll help it clot faster. 1 or 2 of those is good to have in there. It doesn't have to be these fancy medical ones. You can also just put compressed gauze, or not compressed gauze, excuse me, compression bandages in there. Gloves, because as a general rule, if it is wet and not yours, don't touch it. Gloves should be in any kit that you're going to use potentially on other people, right? If Ryan was bleeding on the side of the road and I stopped, I wouldn't care about putting gloves on because I know Ryan. If some random homeless dude was on the side of the road bleeding out, I would put gloves on to treat them because who knows where that person's been or what kind of stuff.
You don't want to catch something that you can't get rid of.
So friends and family, not really super concerned about it, but strangers or people I don't know or someone I know that has an infectious disease or something like that, definitely going to wear gloves. We talked about this briefly in the last video. This is dynamically disruptive combat medical tape. It's duct tape. Duct tape's great to have because you can put it over tourniquets if you're out in the woods for a long time, you don't want to get ripped off. You put it over a bandage so it doesn't get ripped off. You can improvise chest seals, not with just duct tape, but duct tape would help you do that. So you can use it for a lot of different stuff. Another big one, of course, is an emergency blanket because the last part in March, the H stands for hypothermia. So always have a little blanket in there because it retains body heat for people. This could be another whole video as hypothermia treatment, but
even survival videos, it'll help retain heat if you had a fire.
Yeah, and you can use this for signaling, and there's a lot of things you can use it for, but those aren't really the concerns for this video.
Yeah.
Medical stuff, these are important to have in just about any kit you're going to have. We also would put a lot of like casualty cards, we'd call them in here. It's just a nice way for you to annotate different things, right? So it has the March algorithm on it. It tells you what to look for. There's a place for you to put blood pressure, pain medications, notes, and things like that. The nice thing about something like this is that if you're the responder, you can write this stuff down once you've done all your treatments, obviously, to a person. And then if you hand this off to paramedics, EMTs when they arrive, it just makes their job a little easier. They can potentially start treating people faster because understand, professional medical responders like EMTs and paramedics, they have a checklist they have to go through because ultimately they are doing a job and they do not want to get fired from that job because they have to provide for their families. So there's a checklist that they have to go through before they can just start throwing tourniquets on people and stuff, right? Firefighters, paramedics, EMTs, working for professional organizations, they have certain procedures they have to follow. And last in our basic kit is a chest seal. Right? This is a hyphen vent chest seal. There's a lot of different types, again, of chest seals. You want to try, if you're going to put chest seals in there, you want to go for vented ones, though. Most of them nowadays will have vented chest seals. The problem was when they weren't vented that you would then let pressure build up inside people's cavities and stuff. And again, that's a whole other video about how to treat this. That's not covered in Stop the Bleed, but it's a sticker, guys. It's pretty easy to put on. So you should have some of these in your kits.
And can you explain a chest seal injury just like briefly? Doesn't have to, I know it's a lot, but like
a sucking chest wound we would call it in the military, or tension pneumothorax is the medical term for it. Essentially anything from like your collarbone to your diaphragm, just above your belly button. There's a negative space inside there, a vacuum, essentially, right? And if any punctures open that to air, air gets in, and that will slowly collapse your lungs because of the pressure. They're not used to having any pressure in there. So the way to treat in the field detention pneumothorax is to, one, stop more air from getting in there, right? So that's when you put a chest seal on. And then there's also, I don't have one here because it's not an intervention that a normal average person should do, but it's a chest decompression needle. There's a big needle you can put inside people that will
that falls into the invasive trauma, right?
Yeah, that's an invasive. We teach that kind of stuff, but that's like putting needles inside people is not something you could really get away with on a random dude.
Not covered under Good Samaritan law, but like he said, this is just a sticker, and we practiced with these in the IFAK course. Yeah. Basically, if he was just bare skin, open it, slap it on, good to go.
And that's another good reason to have trauma shears.
Yeah.
Because if you got a sucking chest wound, this will not work if you put it over fabric. You have to get rid of the fabric and then put it directly on the skin. So those are the basic stuff that goes in an IFAK, guys, and there's a hard case for it. I just wanted to cover with you guys, too, some other ways. Oh, man, I almost forgot. Hey,
oh, yeah,
glad I reminded it. This is also gauze, but this is special gauze, right? This is normal gauze.
It's painful gauze.
Yeah, this is a hemostatic gauze, right? That means it is impregnated with a hemostatic agent, which assists in the clotting of blood. They are a lot more expensive generally than regular gauze. This one's on the cheaper side, but understand this is just a little 4-inch by 4-inch piece of dressing or gauze. So you would put this in the wound first, and then you would put regular gauze in it, and all it does is assist with the coagulation of the blood. If you have to wound pack, you have to put direct pressure on a wound, and it's like 7 to 10 minutes usually before a clot forms in that, and then it stops bleeding. This just shortens that time to more like 4 to 7 minutes instead of 7 to 10 minutes, right? They're great to put in kits, but honestly, guys, you can do the same thing with regular gauze. If you get these things for free or whatever, then by all means, put all gauze in your kits as a hemostatic gauze, but it's really expensive, like I said. The quick clot ones that we use in the military are like 60 to 80 bucks for one little thing of compressed gauze that's the same size as this.
And these are like $2 to buy online, so this isn't bad.
So, and they do the same thing. This one just does it slightly faster. So I usually put one hemostatic in kits. If you have someone in your life who has a bleeding disorder, like a hemophiliac or something, quick clot is a lot better for you to have because it will promote coagulation of the blood faster. Or really thin, someone's drunk, has super thin blood because they're really hammered. A quick clot, a coagulant would help with coagulation because being drunk means it's your blood takes longer to coagulate, in case you didn't know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So don't bleed when you're drunk. Now, other kits, vehicle kit. This is a big one. This is the kit that I carry in my vehicle. This is not some generic one that we sell. This is literally the one I pulled off the headrest of my vehicle. You'll see I have a little strap here. I literally take it, I twist the strap around the headrest so that if I get in an accident, the IFAK's not going to become a projectile and hit me in the back of the head.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in this little kit, though. It's always behind my headrest because Ryan mentioned in another video, if it's in my trunk and I get in an accident, my car rolls over, is that going to do me any good?
No, especially if you're pinned.
Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to reach it, right? It goes behind my headrest because even if the vehicle rolls over and it's upside down, I can still reach back behind me and unclip this thing, and then I have access to all the medical supplies that I need, right? So having access to the medical supplies is the key. The kit you have in your house that's super cool and awesome, it's great. Not going to do you good if you don't take it with you, though, right? And as we've seen, the world's certainly not getting any safer, right? So it's always good to have medical supplies with you. I like to annotate somehow that it's a medical kit for regular people. So if I have to say, hey, go grab the Red Cross bag on my pack, it's good to do. If you put like some super camouflage tactical kit in your vehicle, there's not really much sense in that because it's harder for people to find it if you need to tell them to
even for gun people, because like I don't look at this and think, oh, this is a medical kit.
Yeah,
I mean,
it could be magazines
we have friends that carry fanny packs with guns and everything else. So
that's why, like, you'll notice the hard kits we talked about are bright orange. Go get the orange box. A lot easier than saying, hey, go get the multi-kit
or even
box.
That red bag there.
Or yeah, our standard like nylon kit is still red, because that's a lot easier than digging through a bunch of camouflage, dynamically disruptive stuff to try and find it in your bag. We don't really need to get too much into the stuff inside of it because honestly, guys, it's just going to be the same stuff that was in here, but more of it, essentially. And trauma shears, of course, everywhere. Different types of trauma shears, guys. These are going to be the basic ones you'll get in a regular kit. These are trauma shears that I shill for a friend of mine because he makes them. They're really cool. Green Feet Medical made these trauma shears. They have a little clip so you can keep them a lot easier. You can stick them on a belt loop or something to keep them with you. Put them on a carrier, it's a lot easier. They have an O2 valve, so if you are an EMT or paramedic, this is how you turn on oxygen tanks and stuff. They also have some serrations on here, and they're a little more durable than most of the other ones, so it's a lot easier to use them. I like them a lot. You can get them from him at Green Feet Medical or First Responders actually has these now too, which is another company I work for. I don't know if they really tell people.
Oh, you could say as many companies as you want.
I work for a company called First Responders. We run a job board for EMS and firefighters and paramedics and stuff like that, but it's mostly just funny memes. But we do sell these on their website. Nice. So they're good. Buy good ones because they're also disposable items, guys. You're going to use these a few times and then you should probably get new ones. They're usually pretty cheap.
Yeah, I think the basic ones are like $5-ish.
Yeah, it should be $5 to $6. These ones are, I think, like $8 to $10 or whatever. They're not expensive things. What else we got? Oh, individual kits, right? Because I mentioned already that the kit that you don't have on you is worthless to you. It's not valuable to you. So there are basic items that I carry with me everywhere I go as a normal person that don't make me look like a tool, right? And one of those things is my IFAK. I carry an ankle first aid kit. And when it is on my ankle, it does not look like anything unless I was wearing shorts, which that would be weird.
Yeah, it might look like a ankle monitor.
I don't wear this, like I'm on house arrest. I don't wear this in shorts, but in pants, throw a pant leg over it, you can't really tell you have it. Everything that I need to treat myself is in here. All the same stuff we talked about in the big kits is in this little kit. I got my trauma shears. I have a soft T wide tourniquet, which we mentioned. There's an Israeli-style bandage, and then there's a thing of combat gauze inside here as well. And then there's also a chest seal in the back sleeve. The only thing I don't have in here that I am ashamed to admit, I actually have not put an emergency blanket in here yet, which I need to do.
Which those are this little piece right here, and these are pretty cheap too. So
yeah, literally 50 cents for an emergency blanket.
Yeah.
These are nice though because you can literally take it anywhere. This is what I fly with. So Ryan mentioned flying with it. I take this on flights everywhere I go, all across the United States and into a couple other countries. No one's ever had any problems with it. You just take it off, go through the scanner. The worst thing you get is like, what are you, crazy for carrying medical supplies? You're like, yes, absolutely right. So they're easy to get. These are actually made in the U.S. too. A company called Riker Nylon Gear makes these here in Arizona too, which is pretty neat. I think we sell them. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Not here to show. Well, a little bit, of course.
Shilling for medical is okay.
Shilling a little bit, right? But yeah, they're good things, guys. Great things to carry. It makes it easy to take things everywhere with you. Understand, this whole video has been about IFAKs and what goes in them. The actual acronym IFAK, which I feel like a lot of people don't know. They might spew it out to people, but they don't know.
Or don't understand it, yeah.
It's an individual first aid kit, right? The military came up with that because, man, we love acronyms, right? What that means is that your IFAK is for you, right? I wouldn't take this stuff and treat other people, like my wife or whatever, sure, right? But I wouldn't take this and treat random people because this is in case myself or my wife get injured, right? So an IFAK is generally actually supposed to be for you to use on yourself. The military, obviously, is a different animal. In the military, everyone carries an IFAK. And the whole point behind that is like the medic then doesn't have to carry tons and tons of supplies. The medic can come up to you or a buddy can come up to you and they can use your supplies from your IFAK to fix your injury. So then if they get injured later on, they have their own IFAK that can be used on them by themselves or by the medic. And that way the medic can focus on carrying more cool special stuff like cry kits and IV bags and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and I think it's good to get to a point, like the more responsible gun people, like when I go shooting with friends, I normally have like 2 or 3 IFAKs or at least tourniquets. That way, you know, God forbid, if more than one person got injured, you at least have ways to treat multiple people. But
every class we teach, we have a giant orange box like this one that sits on the range, and we tell all the students where it is, and it never moves position. It's always in the same place, just in case. Granted, we've never had anybody shot in a class or anything like that.
Yeah, that'd be an MFAK, right?
Kits with us.
MFAK, multiple.
Yeah, it's basically just all the stuff that's in here, but like times 2 or 3, so you can treat multiple people.
Yeah.
Car kits, I generally recommend that for car kits, you include doubles of everything because it's not just you. That's then going to be other people, especially if you have kids and stuff like that, right? I've responded as a regular dude to multiple car accidents before, and definitely having these kits has come in handy for me because then I can get out, I can fix people sorta, and then I can get in my car and I can leave.
Yeah.
Right, which is nice. That's a whole class you can teach people on liability and stuff too. But yeah, every state's even different. I did want to touch on the gear because that is the cool, sexy stuff that sells, right?
I have some of my stuff out, but let me zip this back up.
And this will just give you guys some ideas how you can carry medical stuff in a tactical environment. So Ryan has his chest rig with a dangler pouch, they call them, and that's his IFAK. That's a great way to do it.
Got the
tourniquet on the
tourniquet
bottom,
exposed.
so it's easy to access. What I suggest for any kind of kits, plate carriers, belts that you have, if you're going to put tourniquets on them, you should be able to access them with either hand because you don't know what hand's going to be injured. So that's why like danglers are great because it's in a central location.
Yeah, right in the middle. This one is...
That one even because it's so far forward, you would still be able to grab with this.
Yeah, this is my normal battle belt.
Do that
so
kind of stuff.
Just go right here, and it just pulls right out.
Perfect. Great place for it. And then Ryan has an IFAK pouch back here too. It's a rip-away pouch too, so that if he needs to, the whole pouch will come off and he can access the med supplies that are inside of it. You got your buckle on it.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Oh.
Yep, so you can just rip the whole pouch away. Really nice way to do it. That's a great way to have IFAKs, And then if you're looking at like plate carriers and stuff, you can sort of see this one down here. This is one of the guy's setups that he has in the office. He's got magazines, all the cool stuff. And then on the right-hand side, there's a nice IFAK right there with his tourniquet and all his med supplies in it. Something to keep in mind too, you see a lot of people will put like tourniquets exposed on their plate carriers, and they'll just like rubber band them on there. That's fine. But if you're gonna do that, you wanna make sure that you're gonna be replacing that tourniquet every once in a while, because dirt and stuff can get caught in the hook and loop Velcro, and then it won't work properly. Also, the sun does damage them over the long term, so if it's always exposed to sunlight, like on your dashboard or something like that.
Yeah, it's nylon and polymer,
UV
basically.
lights will eventually damage the tourniquets and could reduce their capability, so keep that kind of stuff in mind. One interesting little neat fun fact for you too, we actually know a guy, a student of ours, who carried and he was not a regular dude, he was a military dude, very special type of military dude. He used to carry cat tourniquets on his kit like this, with the windlass facing forward. On a helicopter, they actually had the windlass get caught in the trigger guard of his rifle, and he shot himself in the leg.
Oh,
that actually happened, I promise.
Oh my gosh.
He didn't die, thank God, because he's surrounded by other highly trained special people, and they managed to fix him up. But if you're going to carry exposed tourniquets on your gear, run them inwards, please, so that the windlass isn't facing outwards, because there's less stuff that can get caught on this. Plus, there's hook and stuff on these side things, and they will catch every piece of gear and equipment that you have.
I've sat in a helicopter and not flown, but that's very cramped, and I figure with guns and everything and multiple guys.
Boom, yeah, flying helicopters with guns, very fun, but very dangerous, right? So anything that can snag in it, just run it this way. It makes it super easy, nothing's gonna get caught on it. I would recommend just getting a pouch, guys. They're pretty cheap. You can get condor pouches on Amazon or whatever that just cover tourniquets, not a big deal. Or the really cool 11 something.
I think this is Blue Force Gear that does these ones, or I think you can order them Blue Force.
Circle 11, I think, is a company that makes the actual hard plastic thing.
Yeah, just a little pouch for it.
Easy to get, guys. A lot of law enforcement officers you'll see wearing tourniquet carriers like that. That's really all I got for you guys. Do you have any questions that you can think of you want to ask?
No.
If you guys have questions about this stuff, ask Ryan in the comments, and he can get with me, and I'd be happy to answer them for you guys.
Yeah, or take a class, because that's the best way to learn this information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get hands-on experience.
Trainingaz.com is our website. We do other stuff in other states, actually. We travel over the U.S. to do this kind of stuff, so hit us up. Dark Angel Medical is another really good company to get medical training from, so you can look at their stuff, too.
Yeah, taking an IFAK course, like I've only taken one IFAK course, but it was eye-opening, because medical, I mean, it doesn't sound as cool as the gun training, but it is just as important, if not more important, because you're more likely to need it. So,
if done the right way, training can be fun too, guys. We put these tourniquets on each other, and it sucks.
Yeah,
right? And that's a cool thing.
We put them on all day for like 9 hours. So
yeah, absolutely, in our classes, and it's a good way to train family and stuff like that. You can teach kids to put these things on. Make it a game for them. It's not that crazy. We teach little children to do this kind of stuff all the time. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, other than that, I think we're good. We're doing one more video in this series, and then, I mean, whatever questions you guys have, we can maybe turn it into future videos. So medical is not just you do it for one day and that's it. It's constant training, constant learning. There's a lot to it, and then just repetition. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you, Mason. Yeah, that was awesome. So yeah, stay tuned for the next video.
Stay safe. So this is what the ankle first aid kit that I wear looks like. Pretty easy. Just uses Velcro to attach, and then you have everything that you need for a medical emergency.